Good afternoon, everyone. Happy July 26th. I wanted to show you the pretty blue sky from our campsite. I'm not really feeling like showing my face right now. It's still really hard without Buttercup. I'm just completely lost without him. I shouldn't say completely because I do have God and I have Jesus. And I have my family, my church family. And I have Diva. Just me and Buttercup were, if I believed in soulmates, we were. And it's just been very hard for me to be without him. There's times that I'm fine, like minutes. And then there's other times that, like, I'm not. And I just, like, I don't want to say give up in that sense. But I just, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like being in a nightmare that just never stops. And maybe that seems dramatic or over exaggerating to some, but it's how I feel. And I just can't picture my life without him. They say that, people say that about their significant others. That's how I feel about Buttercup. I cannot see my life here on earth without him. And it's still a shock, really bad sometimes, that he's not here. It just seems impossible that he's not here. And in my heart, in my mind, I know that God is gonna, I'm gonna heal from this. And maybe it'll be while I'm still here on earth. Maybe it won't be until I'm up there in heaven with him and Jesus, my Grammy Hubbard, and Buttercup and Sparky. I don't know when, but I know God is faithful. And I know that God loves me. He has shown that so many times throughout my life, and I am completely unworthy, as well as the rest of us, of his love and faithfulness and his comfort and peace and rest and strength. I just don't know. And I'm camping with my two granddaughters, and each of them invited a friend. And I've been fine for the most part when they're around me, but like earlier today, they were, I think, still in the pool, and I was by myself. And I heard a song by Toby Mac called Goodbye. And in parentheses on Pandora, it says Gabe or Cabe. And what came to my mind and my heart especially was I didn't even have the opportunity to say goodbye to Buttercup. Some may say you did when you held him before he passed away, before they took him to the room to put the IV in for fluids and potassium and everything, but I really didn't. I should have been there with him. Regardless of what other people may think or believe, I should have been with him in the room. They should have let me stay in the room, put us in a different room, especially due to the seriousness of what was going on with him. I get I can't be in surgery, just like humans, we can't be in the surgery room with our loved ones and everything, and I get that. But there was and there is absolutely no reason why either me and Chris, or just me, couldn't have gone in a different room and stayed with Buttercup, not knowing, what was going on. But, we knew that it was something serious because it came so suddenly. And the vet said that, even before doing blood work and, testing his urine, that she felt there was something going on with his kidney values, that it sounded like he had had a seizure at some point during the day, and then when Chris came home and everything. So it's like, as a doctor who went to school for like 8 years, to study animals, to be able to help them. You should know. Shouldn't take somebody with a non-medical, I'm not in the medical field or anything, and it shouldn't take me or others to tell them how to do their job. Or, I don't know, maybe that didn't come out right. It's more like, if I know that seizures are a serious thing and know that they can be fatal, even one seizure can be fatal to somebody who suffers with seizures. And she did nothing. She absolutely did not do what she should have said. And people will say, because you're still grieving and you're angry still, you're trying to blame people. But it's not about that. It's, it's more because I know. I analyze things somewhat, and, and it's not even about that. It's the fact that you bring your child, whether it's a human child or your pet, to an emergency room because your vet is closed. They're there to take care of your animal, your child, yes, to the best of their ability. But they didn't give Buttercup the best of their ability. He was just a number. He was just a way to get money. They were more focused on us signing papers to pay for it, and everything than they were my baby. We never got a receipt, invoice about the deposit we put down. And we're told that, even after the blood work, that it had been a seizure. His kidney values are low, that he has low potassium, he doesn't have enough fluids in his system, and that he could possibly have a tumor on his brain. So with all that, you would think that they would be right on that, like Speedy Gonzalez, Roadrunner, all that, The Flash, and be doing something. Like, immediately, doing whatever was in their power if they think that. What do you do in an emergency room for people? And it's a serious thing. You do x-rays, you do CT scans, and all this other stuff. If it's something really serious, you get a specialist right then and there, because you know that this could become fatal. So you do everything in your power to make sure that that you help this person. I mean, ultimately, God is the one that chooses life and death for us. But even when my husband and I had a really bad major motorcycle accident, our local hospital wasn't set up to help him. So they sent us to a hospital in Boston that could help him and did help him. So why in tarnation did this vet not refer us to somebody else that could help? Why in the heck did she tell us we had to wait till 7, 8 o'clock in the morning for just the internal medicine doctor to come in and do an ultrasound, and then tell us that, depending on how that goes, then we would have to go see a cardiologist for animals to have not a cardiologist, a brain specialist to look and scan his brain to see if he does in fact have a tumor. They did absolutely none of that. I called at midnight to check on him. And when the vet came on the phone, she told me that he had had another seizure and that she didn't have the chance to call us, which really bothered me. And I get, if she was the only vet, she has other patients. I do get that, and I understand and sympathize, and I get it. It's just like, have one of your vet techs call and let us know. But they didn't. And then a few hours later, from what they told us, he had another seizure and went into cardiac arrest and died. Now, I found out from the manager, I think last week, and he died on July 10th. So Maybe it was more than a week. Yeah, anyways. And I was looking at her invoice, and we're being charged for, all this stuff on this invoice and everything. And it's not about the money for me, honestly. It was more like, we paid you all this money, and you were negligent in your duties and responsibility. And it was, obviously it's not just that, it's like you charge us for things that you didn't do. That was a dishonesty right there. And like I said, they told us initially, we had been there maybe together, maybe a half hour. And this young girl who didn't seem to know what she was talking about, and she pretty much said that about something, I don't even remember, brought in these forms we had to sign before they would treat them. $500 deposit. Again, we never got that invoice, nothing. And then when they found out that, yes, he had a seizure, his kidney, all that, before they would do any more work on him, or actually before they would even do the blood work, we had to pay over $1,700. It's like, really? You go to a human emergency room, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. They treat you. I'm not saying that all ER doctors and nurses are great, professional, caring. I'm just saying, there's a huge freaking problem in the veterinarian industry. If you have to pay for treatments before they take care of your animal, especially in a serious condition, I don't freaking care. It's completely baloney. I want to say something else, but I won't. And it's like, you're more worried about making sure you get paid before you take care of our cat that could, does have a seizure problem, has a kidney problem, possibly failing, and you are, under the impression that he has a brain tumor, and you're worried about getting almost $1,800 from us. I mean, there's just so much evidence that there was such negligence, and it's like, yeah, I am truly deeply sad that my baby is gone, but he shouldn't have been. He should still be here with us, or have had a more of a fighting chance. That vet was completely negligent in her duties, even if she's the only one. If you don't have the equipment to, handle serious health issues, then you should send the person to somebody else. You should have a list of other places that the person can take their, pet children to. You call you have an on-duty internal medicine doctor and brain doctor for animals on call, and you call them. You don't freaking wait until the next morning, the next afternoon. That in itself is complete freaking negligence. But when you look at their website and they're about us and how they, do this and they do that and they do this and do that, and they clearly state, and I'm going to take screenshots of a lot of stuff, clearly say that they have all the equipment that they said they didn't have, and that they had, internal medicine doctor and specialists, and they didn't. And there's just so much more that I could say, plus their name. But I'm not going to say their name yet, because I do plan on filing a complaint against them to the Veterinary Association Board. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a national thing. And then I'm also going to have a free consultation with the lawyer. Don't know which one yet, for my area, that handles things like this, and see what my options are. I don't flipping care about the money, because money is not going to replace the life they stole. But that place should be closed down. That vet doctor and anybody else who works there, but definitely that veterinarian and her two techs, should lose their jobs, lose their certificates, lose their license, and never be able to be around animals or work with animals ever again. And I am going to do everything in my power and strength to make sure that justice is done. But it's all going to be with God's help. And God just reminded me, it's not my power. It's not my will. It's His. But I'm not going to sit here and not fight for my cat, even though he's not with me right now. He should be. They did not do everything in their power to save him at all. And how many other animals have died at their hands that they didn't give more of a chance to live? How many? How many? So, and I apologize for not being on here and talking to y'all as much for the past few months, and especially the past couple weeks. But, you know, this whole thing with losing my baby is just, yeah. And I told people, my husband, my daughters, anybody that truly knew me, knew and knows the deep, 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 deep love that I have for Buttercup, and knew that if something, you know, ever happened to him, how much it would affect me and that I would not be able to recover. And, you know, day by day, minute by minute, God has got me. He's got me in His hands and everything. And He heard and answered my prayer. And one night, I literally heard Buttercup crying right next to my bed, as clear and as real and factual as I can hear my voice talking into this video camera. And I went outside, smoked my vape, and just felt such peace and happiness that is indescribable. And I just lost my baby a week and a half prior to this. And so I truly believe even more that my baby is in heaven waiting for me, waiting for the rest of our family. And that gives me so much comfort. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to still grieve, be angry, and all that. But knowing that He's up there helps beyond measure. And again, brings me such comfort. And to feel that peace and happiness in such a terrible time, to feel God's presence, no matter what the circumstances, is amazing and wonderful and just indescribable. So I pray that you will always be blessed. I pray that you will reach out to God in every and all circumstances, even the small tiny things like having to do dishes or whatever, or a bad driver that cuts you off. I will keep you updated on this situation. Have a good Saturday.